welcome to EETF 64. I am Patrick. I hope you guys are doing great. So tonight, this is a special one. We have a revenant, a long-time frequent guest in the past, actually, but we haven't seen each other for, I think the last time you were here, Mr. X, was episode 39, Oscars preview 2 years ago.
Wow.
So that's something. So it is my absolute pleasure to welcome back Josh Fitzgerald. How are you, sir?
Wow. Thank you, Patrick. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing okay. The weather is finally nice here. So,
good. Can't say that about here.
No?
It was for maybe like 3 days last week, and now it's back to the, typical UK doom and gloom, rain, monsoon.
Not ideal.
No. I was already selling this place great right out of the gate, aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely. You should work for the tourism board. They would
sure.
pick you up right quick. So actually, this is kind of a good intro to the topic. Our regular listeners know about you. I don't know if they know the whole story, though. You don't live in the US anymore.
No.
Can you tell us more about your current location?
Yes, I'm an expat, and as of almost a year now, I've been living in London, UK.
London itself?
Yeah, North London in Islington, the borough of Islington.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy going from. We'll get into it, of course, but it's been quite a transition going from small town upstate New York to one of the biggest cities in the world.
Oh, wow. No, I knew it was the UK, but like it could have been, from, Brighton to Leeds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No idea, but North London itself. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so North London, I know that, listeners are going to go, here he goes again. Arsenal or Spurs?
I have to tell you.
Yes, please.
I live right in the neighborhood of Arsenal where they play.
Yeah, the Emirates. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like right there. So obviously I have to. Yeah, my dad's a big Arsenal fan. He has been for a while.
Really?
Yeah, only just like it was kind of during the pandemic he started getting into watching soccer rather than like NFL football. Just because it was on at like a more convenient time for him, so he just started watching. And he grew up a soccer player. It's kind of a sad story. He was a phenomenal soccer player in high school, and he had a scholarship, like a full scholarship to go to college in Ithaca on a soccer scholarship. Then about 2 months before he was set to go, he shattered his knee. He like completely had like a horrible knee injury and he couldn't go.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of like messed up his soccer playing abilities from there on, there on out. But,
and back then, sports medicine wasn't what it is now. So that was probably it.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. Way to bring the mood down. Thanks.
But anyway, the point being is that, yes, he's a huge soccer fan. So I had some kind of background knowledge.
Oh, okay.
Coming forth. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, so that brings up a million questions. So, okay, London. So you said it's been a little more than a year?
It's been a little under a year. I moved in June of last year, right after the school year finished.
Okay, so you moved because of, thanks to your partner?
Yes, I had. Well, husband now.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for me to be here, we actually had to get married.
Okay.
And we only had a very small window of time to do it, so.
Oh, wow. And, okay, so you did it in the US or the UK?
Here. We had to get married here.
Okay.
And it had to be all these complications, it had to be in the town hall of the borough that we lived in. So we got married at Islington Town Hall on August 2nd of last year. So, yeah.
I didn't know that the requirements were so specific.
Oh, yeah. Very specific. You have, like I said, like a really kind of small window of opportunity to do all the steps. Okay. So you get like 90 days from entering the country and then 6 months from there to, apply for your official like permit. Not even just the visa, the fiance visa. This is actually like the spouse permit to stay here. So that was a big rush job and it all worked out.
Wow. Yeah. And so if we can track back a little bit, did you need a lot of convincing to move to London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still feel like I do at times, depending on the day.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a difficult decision to make. I had been here before to travel and to visit him and everything like that. But I hadn't spent like an extended amount of time here to really know what it was going to be like to live here. In particular, not the Islington. So it took obviously a lot of planning, but it did take a lot of soul searching and discussing it with my immediate family and discussing it with, with each other and discussing it with, everybody with my job. And it's definitely not a decision to be taken lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I mean, because it was such a huge change. I mean, literally my entire life has changed over the course of the year. And I knew that was going to happen, but you're never completely prepared.
That's true.
I feel like entirely, because I mean, like I said, I'm going, and I knew this ahead of time. I had to be ready for going small town to huge city, jumping across a huge ocean, being thousands of miles away from anybody that I know, a whole new job, a whole new atmosphere, everything. Literally everything in my life is completely different. Learning how to share a living space. I lived by myself for 7-8 years, so that was a whole learning curve too. So, I mean, I feel like I strayed from your question, but I did have to spend a lot of time deciding, this is really what I want to do. And I mean, love makes people do crazy things.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, it was tough. And I went in initially with the idea of, I have to do this. I have to try it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if I didn't at least give it my complete college try, what's the point of even doing it? And that was a deciding factor for me.
And also, you are more likely to regret not doing it than doing it.
100%. 100%.
And another thing that might be not underrated, but the importance of it is undervalued or whatever, is visiting a city and living in it. Not the same thing.
Not at all. No, because when you visit, you're there to see the cool stuff, and when you live there, you don't see a lot of the cool stuff. At least not on a regular basis.
That's true. Absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned work. We will get back on that later, more in detail. But did they support you overall in your process?
Yeah, I think they were a little. I think they kind of had their own little bit of like an emotional roller coaster that they sort of kept to themselves because they didn't want to impact how I felt about it. I don't think they've kind of made it a point not to make me feel. They didn't want me to feel guilty about it. They wanted me to do it. But of course, it was difficult for them. I'm sure they struggled a lot with, we're not going to see them that much because I'm very close with my parents. I, visit them every weekend, every other weekend. So I think it was really hard for them. But they completely supported me financially, emotionally. Yeah, I mean, I very, very lucky to have the people in my life that I have that were, just like, yeah, you need to do this. You'll regret it if you don't. They said the exact same thing you did. So yeah, I'm really, really lucky. I think the one person who had the hardest time with it was my grandmother, but because she's 95 years old now, and you never quite know. The few times that I've been able to see her in the past year, there's always that kind of sense of like, this could be it. So I have to just make the most of it. And I think that was hard for her. But even she was like, say hi to the king for me. And yeah.
And where is she located?
She's in Buffalo. She's had a difficult maybe year and a half. She's now in an assisted living facility. And that was, I think that also the other hard part for them is while I was in the middle of my move, they were in the middle of moving her out of her regular house. So they were kind of juggling two huge transitions at the same time, But she's doing really well there. She's happy there. She was really homesick for a little while because in her situation, she's less in control of where she's going, whereas with me, I'm a little bit more prepared.
Yes. No, that's true. And so moving to another country that involves a lot of logistics. For example, do you have a storage unit back in the US?
I do. And just funny you say that. Just yesterday, my uncle and my dad and my brother moved my stuff from my storage unit to a much bigger one to consolidate with the stuff from my grandmother's house. So
okay, there you go.
So it was a pain in the ass, obviously getting it in there, but it's a pretty enormous storage unit.
I mean, just moving period is a pain in the ass, let alone to another country.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that completely. Okay, so North London.
Yes.
I mean, people think about, London, Madrid, Paris, cost of living. can be a big thing.
Yeah.
Did you guys need any adjustments on that? Or I'm guessing that your husband, was he living there already?
He's been here a decade already.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been here 10 years. So he knows the ropes a lot, obviously, a lot more than I do. Cost of, it's funny, cost of living in the beginning didn't really get to me too much because I was still trying to like figure out the transfer of how much,
like the exchange rate?
Dollar to pound, the exchange rate. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was, in the beginning when I was grocery shopping, I was like, oh, this is comparable to the US, $3.99 for a, thing of tomatoes. That's, but then think about, oh, actually, no, it's more like $6. That actually is kind of a lot.
Okay.
See, the thing is, I guess maybe I'm only speaking for my lifestyle. My lifestyle as it is, I've never been one who goes out a lot, for my entertainment. I generally stick to just buying food. Once in a while, I'll go out for food and drinks here and there, film, theater every now and then. That's
okay.
Pretty much it. So thankfully, that hasn't been too much of an issue. I've been able to still accumulate funds. And thankfully, too, like, as you know, in most of Europe and the UK, nearly all the museums are free. So if I want to go and see a museum or anything like that, you can just go, and the permanent collections are incredible. So that helps. So even though like certain things like that are expensive, there's a lot that you can still do for free. You can go to Hyde Park, Buckingham Palace, do a lot of the touristy stuff for free. They're not going to charge you to see those things. So.
And what about, again, work, but we will like go back to that. But do you have to commute a ton or?
That was another transition, let me tell you.
Okay.
When I lived in New York, when I lived in the town of Fredonia, which is where I was, south of Buffalo, I lived half a mile from my school.
Oh.
So I could I was there in like 2.5 minutes every day.
Nice.
And it was a beautiful thing. Where I work now, it's about 40 to 45 minute commute, depending on traffic and everything like that. But it's all public transport. I don't drive here.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool.
Do you have your driving license?
Not my UK one. I'm sort of terrified to get it because everything's backwards. Everything's reversed.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if I could do it. That combined with London traffic is sort of
yeah.
And I don't like driving that much. That's actually one of the things I really don't miss about the US is driving. Public transport here is just,
yes.
It's absolutely, it's the best. It really is the best.
And if you don't need it,
Yeah, London is definitely a city you can function without having a car. In fact, I almost think that having a car here would actually be a hindrance because I feel like it takes longer to get places if you're constantly stopping for pedestrians, stopping for red lights and with all the traffic. I feel like you can get through faster and easier just by foot or by bus or tube.
Yeah, I would agree. And I mean, it's not like if you were, living in the countryside, in the Northwest or something, that's another thing.
Right.
But right in the city, like you mentioned, it's probably more problem than anything else.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So this new 45-minute commute was very foreign to me. But you know what? I don't hate it. I really don't, because I can start my morning with sitting on the train with a coffee, and I've gotten so much reading done, so many puzzles done. Never been able to do that before, so I really it was weird in the beginning, but I really can't complain. It's not a bad thing at all.
So so you had been to London before, but after a while, what was the one thing that surprised you the most about the British people?
Oh, it surprised me. And as far as like their that surprised me the most, you mean as far as their personalities or lifestyle, that sort of thing?
Both.
British people have a reputation for being very standoffish, cold, difficult to read and things like that. But I was very surprised by how opposite that was.
Okay.
I think they rival Canadians in their politeness.
Yes, honestly, I've heard the same.
Yeah. And I was sort of not expecting that because I was warned by multiple parties, don't say hi to strangers, and not because it's dangerous, but just because they'll roll their eyes at you and walk away. But that really hasn't been my experience at all. So that was kind of a surprise.
I would say that's more of I'm not an expert, but I would say that would be more like the distant type would be more like Scandinavian, maybe,
Okay.
like northern Germany, maybe.
Fair. Yeah.
They are not into small talk at all.
Yeah.
And also to go back to the British people, I know that for a fact that taking everything with a grain of salt and a bit of a British humor, that's that's a stereotype for a reason, because it's true.
Right, that's true.
You can confirm it.
And British people too, you have to kind of, they have a certain, again, I say this with love, and this is not like a critique or anything,
sure.
but like they have a very specific communication style.
Okay.
I'm from a family and from a culture that is very kind of just direct, go to the point. Whereas with British people, that seem is kind of rude. You know what I mean? Like laying it all out on the table is seen as a bit threatening. So you have to learn how to approach certain conversations and certain topics in a specific way.
Navigate the conversation almost.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, again, as a comparison, the Germans are very direct.
Yes.
Like if you fucked up, they're going to tell you.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And British people might be, so this was slightly less than optimal. Let's say,
Let's revisit this.
Yes, exactly.
That's used a lot.
Exactly.
I've also, I'm learning, I'm trying to get used to being the person with the accent rather than, you know what I mean? Rather than, everybody else has an accent. Wait, no, actually, I'm the one with the accent.
So did you? No, okay. So that's good. You mentioned that. Did you get any kind of bad vibes? Look at this bloody Yank or whatever.
I definitely constantly get people, as soon as I say a sentence, they'll either say, "Where are you from?" or an American accent.
Okay.
In the beginning, I was very nervous to speak too much or open my mouth because I was expecting that sort of thing, especially when I was job hunting. At first, because you just never know, because Americans aren't the most beloved in the world.
No, that's you have a good passport, but people. Some people might be standoffish. Yes.
Yeah. So, but I kind of, now that I've settled in and have been working and know people, it's been a lot easier. Yeah, I will say the strangest experience that I had as far as my accent goes was at school, because I'm still teaching. So at school, I have a TA, and one day the TA was absent, and there was a substitute filling in for her in the classroom. And he mentioned to me, he's like, "Oh yeah, I can tell you have an American accent and everything." And he said at the end of the lesson, he says, "I have to say that you Americans just have the most beautiful accent." I was like,
"Oh,
that's the first? Well, American accents are many things, but beautiful is not one that I would normally associate." Maybe it's just like the, something foreign and different. It's cool, but beautiful.
Like I don't have a specialist's ear, but if you had, for example, like a super hillbilly accent, maybe you wouldn't get that reaction.
Or maybe even more so, because I always found like the northern sort of South Canada, northern U.S. kind of elongated nasal vowels a little irritating.
I'm trying to remember. I think the standard accent isn't like around Chicago or something.
Yeah, like Midwest.
Yes, Midwest. Yes, okay, and that's true. That's not fabrication. That's actually the main idea, the main not concept, but the main stereotype in a way.
Yeah, the standard American accent can be found.
Standard. Yes, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Thanks. Okay, so you mentioned job hunting. That was actually one of my questions when it comes to work. You didn't have a job secured when you moved.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm guessing that your past experience in the US must have helped a ton when it comes to references and.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I couldn't work for the first few months that I was here until I got my actual residence permit.
Okay.
Which I got at the end of September. I got that. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. Yes and no in the sense of people were very impressed by, how much experience I had, because I've been teaching for about 10 years. And I'm not bragging when I say it, but I have I have a master's degree in education and teaching license and everything. I just say that because it's relevant to the story. But and people are impressed when they see that and everything. And I got a lot of job offers. The problem is the area that I have a degree in and that I'm licensed in is teaching English to speakers of other languages. Which, yeah, initially when I was planning my move here, I'm like, that will be a cinch here. London was one of the most diverse cities in the world. It'll be nothing to find something in my field. Connecting to your question about one of my biggest surprises here is that I couldn't have been more wrong.
Okay.
What ended up happening is despite all these job offers, and I work in a really decent school and everything like that, we have to apply for something called a QTS, which is the UK equivalent of a state-specific teaching license. And you can do this if you have an American teaching license in any state. You can easily just apply for one. They'll look over your credentials and grant it to you. It takes maybe like 10 weeks. So I did apply, and I kind of waited many, many weeks, only to find out that I was denied my teaching certificate because in the UK, ESL, TESOL, TEFL, whatever you want to call it, is not considered a mainstream subject area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so teachers, regular classroom teachers, are expected to just modify work for students who are learning English rather than having a separate teacher doing this for them. So it's not part of the UK curriculum at all. So they are not giving me my QTS right now.
Okay.
Which is frustrating because it means a few things. It means I'm not really getting paid a teacher's salary right now. It's significantly lower. And it means that I'll probably have to go back to school and take classes in an area. If I want to continue teaching, take classes in an area different to ESL. And it also means that it's probably going to be a couple of years before I'm able to be a certified teacher in the UK. So
wow,
that's been an interesting situation.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, you see, you're speaking like a British person already. It's been an interesting situation.
I kind of downplaying
this is shit. This sucks.
Right. I think part of that though is I sort of made peace with it. If we had this conversation a month and a half ago, I probably would have been,
quite
a little
peeved.
bit more aggressive. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's frustrating and it sucks and it's a bit of a roadblock right now. But and I, it's one of those things where I'm hearing different things from different people about what exactly I have to do, and so I'm kind of fighting against that right now. Like I just need somebody to tell me what I need to do, who I need to contact.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. That's not the. That's not the kind of surprise that you want. And as you said, you're qualified, you have a master's and you've been doing this for a long time. It's not like, you just walked off your diploma.
Right, exactly, yeah.
ceremony and then, give me a job in another country. Yeah. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
And so is there a specific field in teaching that you would like to focus on or?
At the moment, I'm teaching what they call SEND, S-E-N-D, which is special ed, special needs. So,
just like our friend Mike Drew.
Yeah, very similar to what he's doing. Yeah, I have in another huge change. I taught real little ones for many years, and now I'm teaching like high schoolers about to graduate.
Oh,
so that's different as well. But they're very, very high needs high schoolers. So, they have like autism, Down syndrome, everything. And I'm still kind of teaching them primary school content.
Okay.
So, yeah, I haven't had to like relearn. I haven't had to, learn how to do complicated math or anything like that. But
oh my God, that's wild. I mean, you kind of expect the same, how can I say, like teaching is somewhat, well, maybe I was going to say something really stupid, but, teaching is kind of the same concept in all, all over the world. You teaching.
Generally.
Mm-hmm. Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you wind up in a completely different situation.
Yeah. It's kind of wild.
It is.
I could still, it's funny because I still actually use some of the same strategies and materials that I use at home in my, kindergarten groups.
Okay.
like classroom management strategies and what have you. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Actually, speaking of, just to kind of sidetrack, speaking of Mike Drew, he lived in the UK in the 90s for a
Yes.
few years as well. So yeah, we kind of have a little bit of an email correspondence once in a while, just,
Okay. That's good. And actually, I would have loved him to be on this talk today, but
yeah, we
you
can
know,
do a part 2.
times. Okay, yeah. Let's do that. I mean, time zones being what they are
Yeah.
during a weekday.
That's true. He's teaching right now. Yeah.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, you mentioned classroom management. So this might, how can I say, like overlap both walks of life, if you want. Would you say that in general, students at school, are they more polite in the US or in the UK?
It's about the same. Kids are kids.
Okay. There is always this cultural aspect that comes into play.
Yeah. It's, for the most part, kids are kids, but I do feel like there is a bit more of an expectation here in the UK for students to say, call you things like sir, rather than like Mr. So-and-so.
Mr. Hey.
Right, exactly.
Hey, you, bozo.
Right, exactly, Which, I mean, they probably mean when they say it anyway, even if they say sir, that's probably the implication, but, and like they have to wear uniforms and everything, and they have a very specific, the seniors don't have to wear uniforms, but they're not allowed to wear hoodies.
Okay.
And they have to still kind of like be, presentable in their learning environment. So that's another new thing for me.
Yeah. Is it true of all schools in the UK? I didn't know about that.
Most of them that I've seen. I could be wrong when I don't want to say all of them, but at least as far as the ones that I've been to and have interviewed at.
Okay. So, so while you were applying to different schools, did you get the chance to visit like the whole range of kinds of school and, income level or?
Pretty much, actually.
Okay.
I almost said auditioned. I I interviewed at the Spanish-speaking preschool. I interviewed at an all-girls high school. I interviewed at a really tiny Montessori school that had 12 kids. I interviewed at a huge, ritzy, very exclusive primary school that had about 500 kids that included, that like is a school that like Andy Partridge sent his kid to, like that ran the gamut.
Like ambassadors school send their kids there and all that stuff?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Jesus. And is there a specific type of school that you would have preferred to teach at?
To be honest with you, I like where I am. I'm happy. I like the kids a lot. That school I was just telling you about, they actually offered me a job there on the same day that the school that I'm at now offered me a job. And I had to make a really difficult decision. And I probably would have liked to be at that school as well. I decided to go with the place that I am now because they were going to offer me a little bit more. And they were they like desperately needed somebody to start like the next week because they had, a teacher that just kind of out of the blue just left. So they were like, really like, please, we beg you, we need you. That sort of thing. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
And you're offering me more, so sure, why not?
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the other school, was it closer to you?
A little bit, yeah. It was a bit closer. So.
Huh. Okay. Okay, so then over there, do they use like annual contracts or permanent jobs or?
So yet another cultural surprise.
Yes,
it's a great question. They do a lot with agencies. They have like education teaching agencies.
Okay.
That will kind of scout Indeed and LinkedIn and all these places. And if you're not like a qualified teacher, quote unquote, these people will reach out to you in droves, and try to find you a good match school, which there's some benefits to this and there's some disadvantages to this. Disadvantages being that you're not really hired through the school, you're hired through the agency. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of go through them rather than go to the school. It's a little weird, but yeah, that was very different because in the US, everything's right directly with the school. Mm-hmm. We don't have anything like that. So
do they take their cut or?
I mean, I would imagine they do. They don't take it from my pay necessarily, but I think it's I don't know if they have like a if the school that they're contracted with gives them some kind of, commission or something.
When it comes to salaries, each school has their own thing, I'm guessing.
More or less. There's a like a nationwide sort of like scale
Okay.
sort of thing but it has like a limit, there like a range. This is the least that you can pay an unqualified teacher first year, and this is the most you can pay them. So depending on how much they're doing, what and what you need them to do, it can fall anywhere in that. And then eventually you gradually build.
Okay. And I'm tracking back a little bit. I'm still thinking London. But if it had been in another city in the UK, or maybe in Scotland or Ireland, would you have been more or less interested?
That's really hard to say. Yeah, I would say, I probably would be about the same. The only other UK city that I've really spent any amount of time in is probably Bath.
Okay. It's nice, apparently. I've never been.
Beautiful. It's gorgeous there. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, probably about the same. It was really, I mean, I moved more for the marriage than I moved for the city, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah. And my husband's not British either, so he's been through this whole thing as well.
Yeah, he is from Israel, if I remember right.
Yeah, and that which is also making for some very, very turbulent times right now.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I can imagine, well, I mean, he's been in the UK for a while, so what is the residency status? Does he have like a full passport and it's all good? And
he's a citizen. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a full citizen. Yeah.
Because I don't know how long it takes in the UK to get a like full passport and all that. So
he had his done and completed during the pandemic, so it was about 8 years for him.
Okay.
Because what happens after I have a 2.5-year visa. It expires December of next year. My marriage visa, and then we have to reapply for me to get a 5-year one.
Okay.
When that is about to expire, that's when I can apply for, full citizenship.
And that's what you're planning on doing?
Yeah, as of right now.
Okay. Yeah. No, yeah, of course, things can change,
Right, exactly, yeah. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm going to move to the States or something. You never know what happens, but as of right now, that's the plan.
Well, yeah, I mean, you haven't burned any bridges in Buffalo, I'm guessing. So, like, if
Not
things
too
go
many.
bad, they would be happy to have you back.
Yeah. And he's more of a big city kind of dude anyway. So
okay. And I don't want to pry, but how did you guys meet?
It was kind of a love during lockdown. Actually, we were mutual followers on Twitter. Then we became pen pals. I actually first met him. We were doing, how we used to do the Name That Tune?
Yeah, absolutely.
Via the Zoom.
We still do.
Yes, so that's right. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. He did a similar one of his own that I sort of discovered when, on social media.
Okay.
During the pandemic, but it wasn't Name That Tune. It was more like just like a general knowledge Jeopardy.
Okay.
And so he hosted it and I joined in, and it was for like a charity thing. And we just kind of hit it off, and we started writing actual snail mail letters to each other during the pandemic, which was really cool because people don't do that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, just like the old days. Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was fun to be able to do that and get actual mail. And we just wrote each other constantly and just started talking more and more. And, it's one of those things like, hey, I think there's something here, Let's explore this further. So then he came to New York City for about a week, and we hung out, and it just clicked, and it felt completely oh yeah, it's like we'd known each other our whole lives, even though it's the first time we met in person. And yeah, it's all downhill from there.
Well, you say that. Right. He probably wouldn't agree, but again, I don't want to pry, but in what field does he work in? Okay,
so he works in, he is like a superhero. I don't know how he does this in this current societal environment he has. He works for TikTok, and he's a moderator on TikTok. So he literally, not only that, he's a moderator for the Israeli section of TikTok. So he has to watch all the shit that people post, like the worst shit. He has to kind of, debate if it breaks policy, if it's breaking, if it's offensive, if it should be taken down. He has to monitor the comments, all that sort of thing. And especially with all the insanity that's happening there right now, he sees some shit.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Mhm.
Because a while back, I read something about the moderators on Facebook, how I forgot how they said it, but like the attrition rate and the burnout rate was.
Yeah, he's kind of getting to the point where he started to think maybe it's time for me to do something a little bit better for my mental health, and he has, plans maybe down the road of like maybe someday buying a business and opening like a restaurant, something. He's big into cooking and all that stuff. So
Okay. Does he again prying Patrick?
pry away, go for it.
What is his formal training?
He completely different again. He went to music school.
Oh wow! Okay.
And he worked as a radio DJ. That was another reason that we clicked and connected so well. I don't think I know anybody, despite doing Name That Tune and all that stuff. I don't think I've ever met another person who knows more about music than him. He was a radio DJ for about 5 or 6 years before he moved to London, and and that was his vocation. He did DJ sets, and had his own radio show in Jerusalem for a very long time, and yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I know.
No. That's wild.
Yeah.
And and as you said, since last October, things have not gone too well in that region. Let's say.
Yeah. And I have to say, I haven't told this to a lot of people. He's there right now, and I was actually just there a couple of weeks ago visiting his in-laws. I left the day before the Iran attacks. I came back here the day before that whole thing happened. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How would you describe the atmosphere over there while you were there? What you saw?
To be completely honest with you, the way the military and with the Iron Dome and everything like that, for the most part, you wouldn't really be able to tell that there's a lot going on, at least where we were. His hometown is like literally in the center of the country. So it's not really near any of the borders and stuff like that. We spent a few days in Tel Aviv, which, I mean, there is a few more military people around and about than you would normally see. But for the most part, it kind of felt business as usual. They're so resilient. Israelis are so resilient, and it sounds terrible, but they're kind of used to it.
They kind of have to. They are surrounded by enemies.
Right. That's their lifestyle. I mean, by law, every house has to have a bomb shelter built into it. Like, that's just.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they're kind of ready, and it doesn't really disrupt their normal life too much, because it's, in a way, that's all they really know.
Yeah.
And it's all they've ever known. And there's certain things like both his brothers had to serve, and they thankfully they finished their duty and everything like that. And there's, you can kind of get an idea in certain areas that, like people are upset in his family and in his where he is. It's, the emotions are a little bit higher, like his mom is having a really hard time with everything. His grandmother's having a hard time with everything. They're telling me things like, they cry all the time just seeing everything that's happening. And so it's not great. Yeah.
It's going to take a while to recover. And even, even for the people who have nothing to do with this, most people, I think, just, want to live their life and, not.
Right, exactly. And
not, jump into any conflicts, but still they are dragged into it, whether they want to or not.
Exactly.
And that sucks.
And not to get into like a whole political thing or anything. In my, just from everything that I've gathered and sort of observed, I just feel it just comes down to leadership and pretty much everything. Israel, its neighbors, that whole area, I think it just comes down to leadership.
Most people, regular people, are probably pretty cool, but most governments, I cannot say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there's so many people there. Every single night that we were in Tel Aviv, there were always groups there protesting the government.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Israeli citizens that were like, we don't deserve this. Like,
we want no part of it.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay. I'm not really up to date on the situation, but are there any elections planned or?
Oh, that's a complicated thing. I don't know when. There have to be relatively soon, but the problem is, I don't know how much you know about Bibi.
A little.
Yeah, basically he's he kind of has it. Yeah, he kind of has things sort of designed so that he's able to pretty much until the day he dies remain in power. Because if he doesn't, he goes directly to jail because he's committed so many crimes and offenses. And,
Didn't know it was that.
Yeah, and he knows this,
Okay.
so he's he's taking great efforts and great pains to make sure that this doesn't happen. That he wants to stay in power, doesn't want to go to jail. So
Jesus. Oh God.
yeah,
Oh yeah. I mean, it's gotta suck.
yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm being Captain Obvious.
No, and it's just the longer he stays there, the more negative impact it's having on the citizens of the country and the surrounding countries.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that. Okay, so your husband, he has two brothers who served, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And he did not, or he wasn't.
He didn't have to because he's past the age, the draft age,
Okay.
and also to being a British citizen, sort of.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have to anymore. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so when he was in Israel, he was like too young, or
Well, he had to serve when he was after high school.
okay, so he did.
He didn't have to serve for this war, is what I meant.
Okay,
Both his
yeah,
brothers
okay.
served after the October 7th in the current war.
Okay.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh
Yeah.
no, yeah. I mean, yeah, no wonder their mom was so happy that they were done with it.
Yeah, that's why I did this Passover, which actually was yesterday as of recording it today.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday was Passover, and it was nice that everybody was able to be there for that. So the whole family.
Jesus. Oh, okay. So the situation is clearer now. Sorry if my question wasn't clear enough.
Oh no, that's okay. I think my response wasn't.
Well, like when did they serve and during
Yeah.
or before? Or
Just so that I don't know if listeners who may not know this, but every Israeli citizen has to serve in the military after they graduate from high school.
yeah, for
It's mandatory for 2 years.
years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they do college. Then normally, actually, tradition is after they finish their military service, they go on like an excursion for a few months,
Okay.
like kind of a coming of age trip, Thailand or
Oh,
Peru or something like that.
just like traveling without any like a commitment. It's not like a
Exactly,
missionary thing like the Latter-day Saints or nothing.
No.
Sorry, the Mormons.
No, not at all. It's just kind of like a see the world, clear your mind of everything you did in the military sort of trip. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's something to be said about you do your 2 years and then, as you said, clear your minds or whatever you did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. No, yeah, I mean, yeah. Sorry for the derail.
No, it's fascinating to talk about. I've been riveted by this whole situation ever since it happened, and especially because it's so close to us right now.
Yes.
And it's really difficult. And I don't want to go on a whole thing either. And I have certain ideas and opinions about this, some of which people may agree with, and some which will not make me friends necessarily. But like it's just been an emotionally taxing experience watching this unfold from a distance, in both being at a distance from both Israel and from the United States, and just seeing how people have responded to it has been really, shall we say, harrowing. That's the word I want to use.
Yes.
Yeah. If I can say anything to kind of, maybe the most serious thing I'll say about this move in this podcast is that being away from, the society that you're used to and the mindset that and watching it from far away really, really opens your eyes and opens your heart and kind of skews your thinking in a really major way. And you learn so much about yourself and what you value and what you hold to your heart, that you never would think about otherwise. So, and the situation is really, it's really amplified that in a significant way.
So again, me prying, but what would be your main takeaway from the situation now that you've, as you said, that you've been away from both countries?
My main takeaway, I think you kind of said it actually, is that just let people live their lives. Live your own life and let other people live theirs. It's never healthy, it's never helpful, and it's never beneficial to try and impose ideas onto things that may not directly affect you necessarily.
Hmm.
So just live your life and let other people live theirs. And yeah, if it doesn't affect you, then just watch from a distance and live and let live.
Yeah. No, no, yeah,
That's a very
absolutely.
diplomatic way to kind of just say what I want to say.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
But no, and okay, and we can move on after this. But the thing is, again, another expression in French that comes to mind is un dialogue de sourds, like deaf people screaming at each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a completely pointless exercise because
Right.
if you hear both sides, the Palestinians and the Israeli, okay, so I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, but
No.
it sounds like they will be at it again for the next 500 years.
Here's the thing, a couple things.
Yes, please.
It's really a situation of both sides are behaving very poorly
Mm-hmm.
and and being very catty with each other.
Yes.
And as a result, just being little bitches, and they have to somehow overcome this and learn that, and they just are going to have to learn how to live with each other one way or another. That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Whatever that may look like, who knows? But there has to be some way that they have to learn how to live together because it's not going to change otherwise. Neither group, neither country, neither culture is going to be going anywhere. It's like when two kids at school, you seat them away from each other in the classroom because all they do is argue, but there's no other place to put them, so you put them next to each other, and they just can't get along. Well, you guys have to figure it out. You're stuck here for the school year. You're going to have to just work it out, talk it out. And until there's some willingness to do that, I don't think really a whole lot is going to change. And also, too, it's such, I think it's easy to forget because we see so many peaks and valleys of this conflict. Mm-hmm. Generation to generation. It's easy, particularly in like a social media generation, that this is a profoundly complicated and complex conflict and situation. There's been such a tendency to make it so black and white, and it's not a black and white situation at all, because inevitably one side is going to look like the evil bad person, and that's not how the situation is. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Also a question of, how can I say, like the difference in means, technical and financial means.
Yeah.
Like it's without any moral implications, it's David against Goliath.
Yeah, in a matter of speaking, it is, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying one is, more righteous than the other. That's not what I'm saying, but it's like a little guy against a big guy.
Right. And when both of them start throwing their weight around, shit hits the fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a situation that I never in my wildest dreams ever imagined I would be so close to. It's because being in little old small town New York, you don't think about that shit.
That's true.
It's just like peace in the Middle East, woohoo, like in your little college dorm, it's doesn't necessarily have any impact or mean anything. But then, now I'm like, wow, yeah, this is how do they call it? A ripple effect. Yeah.
It affects other people in unexpected ways sometimes, and it goes further than you would think sometimes. That might be an example of this,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I mentioned that we would move on after this.
Yeah, no problem. I hope this was interesting to listeners.
Well, I'm having a good time so far.
Yeah, likewise, me too.
Okay, good.
It's stuff I really haven't had a chance to talk about much at all to anybody. So this is a nice sort of like.
Okay, really?
Yeah, like therapy session / chat session. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad I could help.
Yeah.
Actually, we can work from that. Have you had any trouble making friends in London?
No, not really. I've kind of adopted a lot of my husband's friend group. And also with work, I've managed to make a lot of friends as well. I kind of noticed in the beginning that I had that typical foreigner tendency to make friends really only with the other Americans I found. And I'm like, no, I need to because I was, you're homesick in the beginning. You want to, be around people that make you feel at home. But no, I've spread my wings a bit. But yeah, no, I've managed to make some really good friends here.
Okay, as you said, you don't really want to focus on that, but there must be like expat groups and And from work, as you mentioned.
Yeah, there's a girl that works in my school who grew up just like 2 hours away from me in upstate New York. So we were like kind of like, ooh, bonds, let's hang out. Yeah.
Nice.
I also shop at Wegmans. Yeah.
Okay, yes. All right, you got to start somewhere,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. I'm wondering if I should. Actually, yeah, that reminds me of a question.
Yeah.
Do you think the role of teacher is more valued in the UK than in the US?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I mean, they do call you sir.
They do. I would say yes, but not by a huge margin.
Okay.
Just a little bit. I say yes for reasons like that. Like there is definitely more focus on students being respectful to the teachers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's not a lot of effort or strides being made towards, benefits for teachers and things like that. Not as much. You get more benefits in the States as a teacher.
Okay.
But I think there's a more open, I don't want to say aggression or distrust of teachers necessarily, but disrespect, maybe. More open disrespect in the US.
Okay. You mentioned previously having to get a not a equivalent, but like certification, teaching certification and all that. If for example, and I don't want to be Dr. Doom, but if for example that doesn't work, what would be the other field you would look into?
I think I would probably, to be honest with you, still stay working in schools or education in some capacity, even if it was just working as a TA even, or something along those lines, or subbing or something. Because I don't know, I couldn't really see myself doing anything else, really.
Well, I mean, you know what you like.
Yeah.
So that's more than many people can say.
Yeah, I guess. I can't really see myself doing like office work or anything like that. I wouldn't want to like wait tables or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And even with something like music, which I studied in school, like I don't necessarily want to get on a stage and perform. It's not my thing.
So, okay, I'm jumping a little bit between topics, but back on the teacher's life, do you have the idea that there is a stronger support system for teachers in the UK compared to the US? It's a bit similar to, level of respect for teachers, but like as a structural level?
The thing that makes this question difficult to answer is that the US, it depends on what state you're in. Certain states, yes. Certain states, no.
Okay.
I think in New York State, yes, there is more like of structural support for teachers than there is in the UK. Whereas if I were to go to say, I don't
Texas.
know. I was going to say, I don't know if I should name specific states.
Sorry.
So further, if I start to fly further south, I'll just say that the support slowly starts to disappear.
There you go.
So yes, with an asterisk, I guess. It's a state by state sort of thing.
And okay, you probably had the chance to interact with them quite a bit, but what about parents? How would you compare them to the US?
The parents in the UK are very intense. My one day of parent-teacher conference I had, a couple of them even intimidated me a little bit, and so not like threatening me, but more just like an example I have is I have one student who is he's a decent student. He's capable. He's not he's not a straight A student necessarily, but he's capable. But he messes around a lot, and I think he might have like undiagnosed ADD. So it kind of affects his academic performance. So we have like a 1, 2, 3, 4 grading scale, with 4 being like outstanding and above and beyond, 3 being about average, 2 under average, and then 1 like it's good like an F. So most of his report card was like 2s and a couple of 3s. And when I met with his father was like kind of scolding him like, "Where are the 4s? There are no 4s on this report card." And I had to kind of explain to him like, in my, he got a 2 in my lesson, but he's very capable of getting a 3 if he continues to work hard. And the 3 is right on track where he needs to be. And his dad was like, 3 is not acceptable. He needs to have a 4 and everything. And just going off the rails then scolding me about how I need to, make sure that he gets a 4 and be exceptional. And you could just see this poor kid just melting.
Oh, he was there.
He was sitting right next to him. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
That's why he was scolding the kid first for not getting a 4. And then he was kind of giving me the business for not giving him a 4. And I just felt so bad for this poor kid, because you could just see that, like, you could just see him start to crumble. And like, he knew that he wasn't going to be able to pull that off. And another student that I had who's getting ready to go to college, he's extremely talented in art. All he wants to do is art. And there's a really nice art school not far from where he lives. And, he wanted to apply. He was ready to apply. He had all this information. And his dad was like, nope, you can't make any money with art. You're not going to apply. You're going to study math. And he will not budge. We've had 3 or 4 teachers talk to him, try to convince him. No, he will not change his mind. And the poor kid, he's giving up now because,
yeah.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, that's understandable,
And that's a level of intensity that I never experienced in the States.
It must be, okay, so I'm going off the cuff here, but your job must be the highest highs and the lowest lows.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Because you must see things like this going on all the time, kids with potential who are being, beaten down into submission by parents who have blinders on,
Right.
Or people who are just not fit to be parents. Let's call it that way.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm guessing, I'm hoping that you see kids find their wings and reach
for the stars. Yeah.
Awesome levels. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, for sure. As if you didn't have enough of a roller coaster in all other areas in your life. You have roller coasters with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, my life is really crazy. I have to say, my life is really bananas. And then that's not a complaint. It's just an observation. It's wild. It's a wild ride right now.
Yeah, I believe you. So the school year, when does it end in the UK?
Mid-July. They go a little bit longer.
Jesus.
But they do have more breaks.
Okay.
They have like half-term breaks, they call them. And they have there's a week off in February, a week off in May, 2 weeks off in April. Nice 2-week Christmas break. So yeah, it evens out.
Okay. And it starts in early September, I'm guessing?
Yeah, pretty much the same time that starts over there.
Oh, mid-July.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's nuts.
I didn't either when I took this down. I would have reconsidered now.
I get your point, because when I talk travel with other teachers, I'm not a teacher, but people who are teachers, I cannot suggest them, go during the shoulder season. They can't.
That's the thing. About this job is there's a lot of time off, but at the same time, there's very little time off. It's inflexible time off.
Yes, and also there is a lot of unsaid hours.
Oh yeah, like after school. Yeah, you put a lot of your own time and money into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's... No, yeah, I mean, you guys get way more shit than you deserve. Okay, so maybe that came out wrong?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Do you watch Abbott Elementary, the TV show?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
If you ever want to really get this show is so accurate. If you want to get a true experience of what it's like to, at least in the United States, be a teacher in a public school, then definitely watch that show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then the first season, that when I watched it, I was like, wow, you could tell that the girl who created it and wrote it, you could tell that she's had experience. Her mom was a public school teacher for a while, and you can tell because it's very accurate.
Because I think it was Woody who talked about it on a few episodes ago on ETF.
I avoided it for a while because I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought it was going to be mocking and
or reality TV crap and scripted stuff, and
that, and also too just have a certain agenda, a sort of charter school agenda sort of thing, which I'm always a little bit leery about. But no, it's very, very true to life.
And it's not too depressing.
No, it's funny. It's okay. Very. I mean, there's certain elements about it that are kind of remind us, oh yeah, I think we do as a society need to reconsider how we're treating some of these people. But yeah, but no, it's not done in a depressing way.
Okay, good. Good. I have such a ton of other questions. Oh, yeah. Outdoor education and field trips. Is that a big thing in the UK?
Bigger in the UK. I was never allowed to take field trips in the States, and now we go on them all the time here.
You weren't allowed?
Nope, at least not in my school. Very, very rare occasions they would let us take a kid on a field trip. I don't know if it was because of where I was, the weather was always shitty, but
Okay.
yeah, but no, here we're all the time in primary schools. Nearly every single one has like a gorgeous outside facility, not even just a playground, but like an outdoor learning facility with, like trees and gardens and
Going to the museum for free.
yeah, for real. Yeah, we've done like the Tate Modern and things like that. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably because of a liability aspect in the US. Like, you don't want to be responsible if something horrible happens.
Right. And I think because the US tends to be a little bit more litigious in nature.
Yes. No, yeah, absolutely.
that plays a
That's
part
point.
in it as well. We do, to be fair, in the UK, when we go on a field trip, we do have to fill out a very lengthy risk assessment, they call it, to just explain like everywhere we're going to be going, the times we'll be there, all the students, their addresses, phone numbers, allergy, the whole 9 yards. But at least they're almost always approved.
Do you guys have a big field trip at the end of the year or something like that? Or
We actually just talked about that today. We're just starting to plan our big end of year celebration.
and you don't want to jinx it, or
No, it's just that it's not totally finalized yet. But I think we're going to be doing like a amusement park, a theme park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Disneyland in Paris.
Oh, I wish.
It would be a pretty kick-ass field trip.
That would be a trip. My senior trip was actually Disney World in Florida, which was fun, but getting there from New York was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Like an overnight bus trip with a bus full of teenagers.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Mentioning Paris. Okay, so of course, with your current passport, you can go anywhere. Have you had the chance to go, mainland Europe a little bit, or?
Not nearly as much as I wanted to. I'm hoping to be able to go to Amsterdam next month. My aunt is actually coming, going to Amsterdam on just kind of her own next month. So I'm like, maybe I'll Eurostar my way over to Amsterdam for a day or two and see her. So, but unfortunately, I really haven't. Just kind of say,
Well, I mean, you have other things to worry about, so I don't blame you.
yeah, I have a list of places I want to and intend to go, but
Do you want to spoil it, or do you want to?
yeah, sure. I mean, Italy's way at the top.
Yes.
I'm hoping this summer when my parents come to visit to be doing Spain. They want to go to Spain, do all the Madrid, Barcelona thing. I really want to go to Sweden and Norway. And I'd like to go back to Turkey
Okay.
and Greece to kind of finish out the Mediterranean that I started. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. I'll wait with France. I'll wait till the Olympics are done. That's, I'll get there eventually.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And again, just my opinion, but with Turkey, I would wait until Erdogan is gone. That might take a while.
Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah.
Still, I went there in 2013, and I'm pretty sure that it's not even close to the same place now.
Wow. I was there in 2011, but I was only there for like a day and a half, so I didn't really.
Okay.
That's why I would like to see more because I liked it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I remember when I went, there were considerations to Turkey joining the EU.
Oh, really?
That tells you how much has changed. Now it wouldn't even be.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even finish your sentence that people would laugh you out of the room.
Right. Oh, I have to tell you this.
Please.
I just thinking of the Olympics. Like you'll definitely appreciate this. So London hosted the Olympics in 2012.
Yes.
The school that I'm working at, I don't know if the word is hosted, or they housed the Canadian hockey team when they were practicing for the Olympics when they were over in London for the 2012 Olympics. The school that I'm at, all the surrounding like schools and businesses, were intended to house one of the countries and teams, and the one that I'm at had the Canadian hockey team.
Okay, so that's field hockey.
Right.
Yes, yeah, gotta be like that
Right.
was the Summer
Yeah.
Olympics.
No, that's because it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because people's head would have exploded.
Right. Like,
Like
what do
you
you
had,
mean? It was not in the winter. Yeah. No.
yeah, you had like Sidney Crosby in your your
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
That's that's crazy.
But they made it a point to tell me that right away when they were giving me the tour of the school. Like, just so you know, they're really proud of it.
But no, you're right. Actually, waiting until the Olympics are done in France, and especially since it's not only the question of number of people there, it is also unfortunately you have to think about security
Yeah. Yeah.
considerations, you know.
Especially
So
with the world as it is right now.
yeah, so better play it safe. And France is still going to be there after the Olympics, so that can wait a little bit.
Absolutely.
So.
And then you can check out the Olympic Stadium as one of the attractions.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so I have a couple of more questions.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Yeah, fire away.
Okay. Here I have in front of me cultural adaptation. We talked about it a little bit near the beginning, but what would you say was the biggest way that you had to adapt to life in the UK yourself?
Number one biggest one was the amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
Just being surrounded by people all the time was something that I've never had experience with before. Like really getting literally no time to yourself or any, that doesn't sound right, but literally getting no space really.
Yeah.
It's just adapting to that was really tough. And that's not necessarily a UK specific thing, but it's certainly a cultural thing. Little things like remembering what side of the escalator to stand on.
Oh yeah,
that's a big deal here. If you do,
yes.
Just as a warning, if anybody plans to visit the UK, if you're going on an escalator, you stand on the right side, and if you want to walk, you go to the left.
Yep.
No exceptions. They will ream you out if you break that rule.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can confirm that. And also in many places you will have like a footprint.
Oh yes. Yeah.
On the stairs, like stand, you go there, walk, you go here.
Okay. We don't have the footprint, so you just have to know, and if you don't know, then watch yourself.
They will tell you.
Yeah.
In a very polite,
I mentioned
way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not always, because I mentioned that they're not as direct as a lot of other cultures, except when you stand on the wrong side of the escalator. Then it comes out.
That's serious business.
Yes.
Jesus. And also one thing I remember, I've been to London only once in 2014 for 3-4 days. And I remember like on the next to the sidewalk, arrows, like pedestrians look that way before crossing.
Look right.
Otherwise they're gonna...
And then look left. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna see it coming otherwise.
That helps me so much as an American who drives in reverse. That I still use it.
There you go.
Yeah. Believe it or not, reading Celsius is so hard for me. I'm still getting used to that, which is really kind of pathetic. But
because they, I mean that's part of it. But in the UK, I think they use a mix of imperial and metric, right?
In certain places, yeah. I've noticed when we were driving to Bath, the speed limits were miles per hour, and there were certain signages that would say so many miles to Bath, and I guess because a lot of these signs were made before they switched to imperial, and they just never bothered to switch them back because they'd been in use for so long. Yeah,
I remember talking about this with Anna in Scotland on a previous episode.
Military time I had to get used to.
Yeah,
24-hour time. Yeah,
that one is easier though.
That one's easier than Celsius. Yeah, definitely.
Plus 12. Plus 12. That's it.
Little things like the greetings. It's difficult because they don't really say how are you, or how you doing, or how's it going. They'll just say, "You all right?"
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And I was always like, "Do I look like I'm not okay?" You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm fine. Are you? And then it took me a while, like, oh, that's just how they say, how are you?
Yeah. And also, I mean, I don't know if it's a general British thing or maybe a London thing or maybe not a London thing when they say cheers for thanks.
All the time. Cheers, mate.
Okay.
All the time. Yeah.
There you go. Because when I say cheers, like I have a drink in my hand and like cheers and nowhere else. You know?
Exactly. No, that's a thank you, because they love a drink here. So they will toast even when they're not drinking. And
Okay, so they say cheers as well for drink and for thank
and
you.
for thanking.
Okay, I never
Thank you
thought
for
of
the
that.
drink. Yeah.
Yes, cheers and cheers.
Yes.
Okay, that works. Okay, I wanted to also ask, back on the new continent, you used to have a podcast. It was Movies That Rock.
Yes.
And right now it's on hiatus.
Yeah. Like indefinite hiatus. It may or may not return. Don't hold your breath, y'all. I know you all are. But no, I had to actually, in moving, I had to get rid of a lot of my podcasting stuff. Most of it, in fact. So until I guess buy more, it's sort of at a standstill. So
all you need is a decent mic and you're good to go.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's a time commitment and all that, of course. But
yeah, and there's been so much going on. I'm like, I would need to be in a position where I'd be able to really devote the time to do it. So we'll see. I'm not ruling it out forever, but we'll see.
And you want to do a good job, so you don't want to, half-ass it.
Right.
And maybe your schedule doesn't allow it yet. But let's not close the door, because it's a great niche topic, honestly.
Thank you. It is cool. And I've learned so much about film and about, I guess, music and film from doing this. And I've got to make a lot of really amazing connections with people that I know and got to know people more. And it was a blast. So maybe down the road it will be revived. We'll see.
I just had an idea. I don't know if it's a good one.
Okay.
But maybe a kind of a crossover ETF
okay.
movie.
Sure. Keep me posted.
Yeah, okay, I will. Maybe we could workshop that.
Okay.
And okay, so you mentioned on the Instagram that you were going to close your account.
Yeah.
You're still going to go through with it?
I probably will. Yeah, just a lot of reasons, most of all being I find myself wasting a lot of time on there that when I should be doing more productive things. And also to just a lot of things that I'm seeing getting posted and things like that. It's just been very upsetting lately. And I just don't want to be around that. I don't really need that in my life anymore. So I think I've actually gotten rid of nearly all of my social media accounts.
Okay.
And I was on Facebook again for like a very brief time when I first moved here. I was thinking like I should reconnect with people. I should stay in contact with them. But then kind of the same thing happened. It started getting bombarded with just a lot of negative shit that I didn't want to, be privy to. So I was like, nope. I tried, but no.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't need it, so why burden yourself with it,
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Exactly.
I don't want to potentially, jeopardize my mental health or lose friends or anything like that for this stupid app. It's not worth it.
I agree. I agree. And so then my next question is probably moot, but where can we reach you online?
This is one of the tougher questions you've asked tonight.
Okay, there you go.
Where can you reach me online? I mean, I have a TikTok account that I don't post anything on. You could find me there.
Okay.
Josh F618. I mean, if you just want to chat, I actually do have if you want to chat with me, I have a Discord.
Okay.
So that there's that same thing, Josh F618. That's about it.
All right. Awesome. Until part 2, I gotta say, thank you very much, Josh. It was fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really, really fun to kind of get back into the podcasting world and to be invited to do this. I really enjoyed it. You asked really amazing, insightful questions, and your preparation was exceptional. Thanks. So I really appreciate it.
Gonna make me blush. Last time you were on the pod was 2 years ago, and let's not wait another 2 years for the next time.
I agree. Let's not. Let's do this again soon.
All right. Sounds good. So thank you, listeners, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks.
Bye.